What's going on, Seville? It's another week, another episode of the Seville Sports Mentality Show with the Sports Rev and Coatesville's own Mr. Grubb, a.k.a. Levi Worthington. What's going on, Mr. Grubb?
Man, I'm tired, man. I'm worn out from celebrating our Super Bowl championship. I ain't want to bring it up, but I had to tell you. You asked me how I was doing, so I'm talking a little slow right now, but I'm great, Rev.
Yeah, so you about to tell on yourself because you were doing some other things rather than just the parade, because the parade was on Friday.
I was drinking water, brother.
All right. We hope it was holy water. We'll put it that way. But man, we're grateful to be able to come to you with show number 7 of the Seville Sports Mentality Show with the Sports Rev and Mr. Grubb on the 610 Seville Sports Network, the sports pride of Coatesville. And if you don't mind, can you please like the 610 Seville Sports Network Facebook page? And if you're over there on YouTube, go ahead on and subscribe to YouTube. And we have a great show ahead of us on today. We are looking forward to interviewing in just a few moments 2 of Seville's own. So we have real quickly, brother Vince Belnome, former Major League Baseball player, Coatesville baseball player, who will be joining us in a few minutes. And then later on, during the 7 o'clock hour, we'll have Darrel Lewis, Coatesville basketball player who went on to play basketball overseas. So we have an action-packed show full of interviews, full of lifting up the city of Coatesville. And as we're asking you to like and share this broadcast and the 610 Seville Sports Network page, can you do me a favor, especially if you're a graduate of Cash? Can you check in with us on today? Put your name in the chat, what year you graduated from Coatesville. We know that some of you all may not be able to do it because you might be watching it on a different page, because we're not able to stream directly on our Seville Sports Network page, but it's coming soon. Give us about 3 more weeks, and we'll be out of Facebook purgatory with the Seville Sports Network page. So if you come on in, chime in, check in, let us know that you are tuning in so we can give you some props. And as we do each week, Mr. Grubb, what year are you representing?
1995.
95 from Cash. That was a good year.
Yes, very good year.
Even though I didn't graduate from Cash, that's the year I graduated from high school, from Benjamin Elijah Mays High School in Atlanta, Georgia. But we want to show some love to the people who graduated from Cash. So during the course of the show, feel free to let us know that you're tuning in, put the year that you graduated. We'll love to put you on the screen. And again, if you don't mind, please like the 610 Seville Sports Network Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we have Lance Ziegler, class of 1997, who has just entered the Seville Sports Mentality Show chat. Thank you, brother Lance. Anyone else, please feel free.
Lance is our guest next week, him and his father.
Okay, all right. Well, we look forward to having the Zieglers. We're getting double for our trouble next week. So we look forward to having the Zieglers. Anthony Collins has just entered the chat, class of 2008 representing. All right,
okay, young buck.
Huh?
I said, okay, young buck.
Okay, well, yeah, man. Doesn't that make you feel old?
Yeah, make my knees hurt.
13 years our junior. But it's all good. Thanks for tuning in to the Seville Sports Mentality. So anybody else, feel free to tune in, or to chime in rather, and let us know that you're tuning in. And if you're a graduate of Cash, go ahead on, put that in the chat. As we move this train forward, and we did the Cash check-in, we like to show Raiders respect to some athletes who had some huge feats coming into this week. So we want to show them some love, and then we'll come right back with our regularly scheduled program. Here we go. Red Raiders respect. Showing Red Raiders respect to those wonderful ladies who participated in Coatesville athletes. Again, Red Raiders respect to the Coatesville girls. 4x200 relay team, Hannah Russell, Kiara Alice, Natalia Hanson, Ava Weldon, who qualified for the state championship on March 2nd at Penn State. Also, we're showing Red Raiders respect to the Coatesville girls 4x400 relay team, Sienna Rosado, Amari Boyer, Natalia Hanson, and Genesis Bradshaw, who also qualified for the state championship March 2nd at Penn State University. And also, we're going to show Red Raiders respect to the Coatesville Lady Red Raiders basketball team, whose season concluded on this past week. But big ups to Coach Tina Nicholson, the coaching staff, and the young ladies of Coatesville girls basketball team, who had a very competitive season. And we look forward to bigger and better things coming to them coming from them rather, next season. All right. Lance Ziegler showing some love. I guess this must be his dad. Hal Ziegler, 1967, is in the building. Thomas Williams is coming up. What's going on? Thomas ATL, Hawks, Wheat Street. I will start following you. Shout out to Sister Harris. Thank you for showing some Wheat Street love. All the way in Atlanta, Georgia, showing me some love on the CBL Sports Network. We appreciate you, Thomas. Thanks so much. With that being said, let's move into our first CBL Sports Legacy interview. And we are fortunate to have one of Coatesville's own, born, bred, played high school baseball, led the baseball team to a 23-0 perfect season his senior year, left Coatesville, went on to West Virginia, and then left West Virginia, did some good balling with the bat, and went on to play minor league and Major League Baseball. Coatesville, can you all do me a favor and show some CVille Red Raiders love to Coatesville's own Vince Belnome? What's going on, Brother Vince?
How are you, fellas?
We're doing great, and we thank you for showing up with us at the CVille rather sports mentality show. I'm getting tongue-tied because I'm excited to have a major leaguer in my presence. But we appreciate you coming in, sharing your time with us as we do this CVille Sports Legacy interview. All right, Mr. Grubb, we'll put it on you first as we start this interview.
As we always ask in the first questions, Vince, good to have you on the show, man. Pleasure. What was it like for you growing up in Coatesville, and where did you exactly in Coatesville did you grow up at?
I grew up probably about a mile outside of Modena. It was out off of Goosetown Road. I grew up out there. It was probably, it was a bike ride shy of anywhere I needed to go. I would ride down to my buddy's house I had a buddy lived on 13th Avenue. One lived on Westchester Street. So, I was probably about 3 miles from school, 4 miles.
So back then you didn't have growing up, because you're not too much younger than I am. You didn't have a problem riding your bike around town, and your parents didn't have to worry about where you were at back then.
Nah, it was different back then, man. I got to come in that age of cell phones and everything. That was just starting. So we had Nextels, the whole family. It was basically walkie-talkies, beep beep.
Chirping.
Chirping wherever you were at. Just let them know. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know if it's different back then or just as stuff is more magnified now. I'm not sure, but I feel like it was different.
Mr. Grubb, he just showed us that he's really not our age. Because we didn't grow up in the cell phone era in high school. I think cell phones became a thing once we got out of college, but that's another story for another day. But we know that you're a baseball player. That's your claim to fame. What inspired your interest in playing baseball?
Man, I fell in love with the game. I was probably about 4 years old, and my dad played slow pitch softball down at Abdullah Park down there on in
Wow.
between 8th and 9th Avenue, and just watching them guys compete and play the game and swing and hit the ball. I just fell in love with it, and then it just kind of started being my thing. And then when I do something, I've got to try to master it and do it to the best of my ability. I don't care what it is, everything. Sports wise, I'm very competitive, and that was my goal once I was young, man. I remember writing a paper when I was in like second or third grade and said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I was like, "Man, I want to be a Major League Baseball player."
Mm.
That's dope. As I get ready for this next question, at one point in time, I was a better baseball player than I was a basketball player. You might not know I went on to play college basketball at Morehouse College, went there on a full basketball scholarship. At one point in time, I was a better baseball player. And I was living in Roosevelt, New York in the 80s when I was growing up. And some of my childhood influence was Doc Gooden. Dwight Gooden used to be one of the best pitchers for the New York Mets during the year that they won the World Series back in 1984. I was a Darryl Strawberry fan, Mookie Wilson, and Mets were my team at that time. So I asked the question, who were some of your childhood influences in baseball? It could be local, it could be major leagues, whomever.
My biggest influences were well, there's really only one. It was Ken Griffey Jr. He was my
Mm.
favorite player growing up. I
Mm.
wanted to do everything like him. Um, and I still think like if his career wouldn't have been injury sidelines, he would have been in the talks of the greatest ever. But I mean, he still hit 600 home runs, and that's a very short list these days. So, and then the shortstop started coming in: A-Rod, Nomar, Jeter. Because I was a shortstop coming all the way up, all the way until I got to college. So I wanted to be like those guys, but Ken Griffey Jr. for sure.
Before Mr. Grubb asks you the next question, what specifically was it about King Griffey Jr. that turned you on to him?
Just the way he hit, man. He had the sweetest left-handed swing in baseball. Me being left-handed, man, I wanted to try to emulate everything that he did. Any like books or videos or anything that he had back in the day. I mean, I was either reading it, watching it, highlights. I just wanted to be like the kid.
That's good stuff.
So Vince, before in this interview is totally about you. I'm on probation now, so just for our fans, I want to let them know that me and Rev, we do not disagree all the time. I just found out some breaking news right now that me and Rev have the same best baseball player as pitcher, and I'm so excited. I just had to sneak that in there, Vince. I'm sorry. This is about you, and I'm gonna get some calls tonight. Okay, I'm gonna get some calls tonight. So
Heck yeah.
okay, all right. I'm sorry. I'm back to it, Rev. I'm sorry. How you feel about that? You feel good?
I'll feel better once you ask him the next question.
Okay, here we go again. Hey, Vince, did you play any other sports other than baseball? Because you still on that edge where kids were playing multiple sports.
Oh yeah, I played basketball. I started falling in love with basketball too, probably once I got to like sixth grade, and I went to Gordon back then. Gordon was still the middle school,
Yep.
so it was coming into a new school with a bunch of different people, and like basketball was the thing. And then like that, then I was like, man, like I gotta become better at basketball, and end up making a seventh grade team, eighth grade team, ninth grade team, and then in 10th grade I made JV. But I had a decision to make. I felt like in my career what I wanted to do, like moving forward. Like basketball was fun to me, playing, stayed in shape, conditioning wise and whatnot. But baseball was what I really wanted to do. So about like three quarters of the way through my first JV season in 10th grade, I just told the coach, I said, listen, I got baseball season coming up, and this is what I want to do in the future. And I had a couple big years coming up in front of me, like with college and whatnot. And I just didn't want basketball to come in the way of anything that I wanted to accomplish.
So real quick, Vince, you mentioned Gordon, which is one of my alma maters. Gordon
Mm-hmm.
Junior High, our voices we raised to homage to our days.
Mm-hmm.
The gold and the black, right?
Yes,
You
sir.
said you played basketball in Gordon. Who was your coach? Was it was it Smith?
Yes, Mr. Norm Smith. Yep.
Norm Smith. He was my
Yes, sir.
coach also. Did Fisher coach you also there?
Oh,
He was a seventh grade coach.
I think he did. I think he did. I think he was seventh grade and Norm was eighth grade, I believe.
Okay, I just love to go back down memory lane, man. So when you got all the way up to the 10th grade, the ninth grade, who'd you have? Because they had an A and a B team.
Ninth grade, I had Coach Mark Bailey, and then 10th grade, I had Mr. Buckwash.
Buckwash, your
Yep.
chemistry teacher, right?
Yep.
So Bailey is
All right, before you go too far, Mr. Grubb, stop right
I'm
there.
almost
Because
finished.
you're not taking them into high school. We're not ready for high school yet. So stop right there. Stop right there. Because I want to go back. Stop right there, Mr. Grubb. I'm telling you, there's a reason. We're trying to paint a picture. Because you already taken him to baseball, and you missed over a question that I want to ask real quickly, which helped him become who he became when he played high school baseball. See, that's why I had to stop you. All right. So how did having your own batting cage and pitching machine develop you as a baseball player? If I read that in an article, and not too many kids have their own batting cage and pitching machine, which shows the type of investment that your family put into your baseball career.
I mean, it was basically a game changer. I still remember the day my mom back in the day, like yard sailing was a big thing, and she pulled up to this yard sale, and they were selling a pitching machine, batting cage, and everything. And she called my dad up, and he asked how much, and they told him and whatnot, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're getting it." And then he set it all up, man. And then after that, it was a wrap. I mean, you couldn't get me out of there. My dad set up lights, had spotlights out there. I'm sure my neighbors hated me. I'd be out there hitting till like 10 o'clock at night, just trying to perfect my craft.
And about how many days a week would you find yourself out there hitting and using the pitching machine and so forth, so on?
Oh, there was no days off. There was no days off. If it was nice weather outside, I was out there hitting. Didn't matter if it was dark out, light out, before the game, after the game. There was a lot of swings that went into that cage. And then, like, once we got into high school, like, half the team would come over and hit after practice, before the game. And it really solidified our unit, and that's why we were able to do so well.
And see, I wanted to ask that question because that was important, because a lot of folk don't realize the blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice it takes to actually make it to the level that you did. It's more than just 2 hours in practice at the school, but the amount of time that you put into your craft, as you stated, shows why you were able to make it as high as you did. Now, Mr. Grubb, feel free to go all throttle, full throttle with the Coachville questions.
So, Vince, in the 10th grade, who was your coach in the 10th grade basketball?
Mr. Buckwash.
Mr. Buckwash was still 10th grade? Okay,
Yep.
so we completed that section of the interview. So you also played high school. Well, you played high school baseball at Cash. What was it like playing at Cash? And also, what was it like playing under the great Hal Ziegler?
I mean, it was a dream come true for me. You know what I mean? Because Zig had been there for, at that time, I think it was probably about 15 years or so, and just like consistent winning teams. And I mean, I still remember going down there when I was a young buck, watching them play at Cowan under the lights, man. That's all I wanted to do. So when it came to high school time, and for me to be able to represent my high school, my city under the lights, I mean, as a high school athlete, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. Did Coach Hal, did he ever, when you were going through the process of being drafted to the big leagues, did he ever give you any advice? Because I know for a fact that he was either offered a contract or he was they did want to draft him when he was at your age, when he's at your age.
Yeah, he was a heck of a player back then, and I mean, I would always hear stories from the guys and whatnot, and I remember even my dad telling me stories about Coach Zig, some of the balls that he would hit down there when he would play slow pitch softball with them, and then I end up finding out I think it was the Braves or something. I don't know what happened with that whole process with him, but man, when I got drafted, I mean, he was one of the biggest supporters, man. He just said, "Keep on doing what you're doing, and like you got one goal in mind, you know what I mean, and stay focused." And I mean, I felt like he kind of put me on the right track in high school and whatnot, because it wasn't just like you're just showing up and playing baseball, man. Like this is red and black. This is Coatesville.
Yeah.
This is it right here. You know what I mean? At that time when I was in high school, this was my big leagues. You know, and then like once you graduate, then you're on to the next stage.
All right, let me go back to high school, because you mentioned about Coach Ziegler. Who are some of your other influential people in your life when you went to Cache?
I mean, I definitely got to start out with my mom and my dad. I mean, they set the stage for me. They paved the way. They gave me everything I needed to succeed. And I mean, I thank my mom and my dad all the time, and they keep on telling me like you took advantage of it, of what we gave to you, but like I couldn't do anything without them. And coaches wise, man, my dad and my buddy's dad, one of my best friends, Steve Marson, his father, they coached us through travel ball from 11 years old till 18 years old. So that's all extra work on top of high school season. And then once I was able to get to the high school level, uh, still good friends with Chad O'Hare, Hal Ziegler, the late and great Donnie Lawrence, man, Lance. I mean, all those guys were my coaches and had positive influences on me to where I got to.
That's good stuff. Let me just give us a quick shout out. Brother Fon's new son from City Town Talk. He's chiming in. Thank you so much, Brother Fonz. Check out City Town Talk with Brother Fonz, one of the best shows featuring the city of Coatesville. Real quick before I turn it back over to Mr. Grubb, what made you choose West Virginia to play Division I baseball? As I'm reading your story, I was kind of shocked that you actually went to West Virginia on a partial scholarship, especially with the numbers that you put up in high school and also how you led your team to an undefeated record your senior season. So tell us about that.
Well, the whole process with West Virginia started like it was in I forget what it was, after my sophomore year. I started getting letters and whatnot, and just a bunch of PSAC schools, Division II schools, and then like a letter from like Villanova here or there. And then I was playing in the Keystone Games tournament. I don't know if you're familiar with it. All the counties in PA, they have like an all-star team. And then we were playing in York, Pennsylvania at the time. And one of the assistant coaches from West Virginia watched me play in the championship game, and came up to me after the game, and I was all ears at that time, and they invited me to come down to a showcase. And he had told the head coach, he said, "Man, this is your guy right here." And went down to the showcase and fell in love with the university. It was a beautiful place, and I felt like me coming in there as a freshman, I had a chance to prove myself and play based on what they were telling me and whatnot, and just kind of took advantage of everything that was in front of me once I got to West Virginia. But the scholarships back then, man, they were way different. There was only 12 and a half full scholarships for like a 30 to 35 person baseball team back then. So like your seniors, like they might give a senior like a full ride, but other than that, like you're getting half, you're getting a third. So that's kind of how that broke down. End up getting a partial, and then it was half the next couple of years.
Appreciate you sharing that.
So, hey, Vince, tell us about the experience of being drafted, and when did you know you had the ability to play in the major leagues?
Uh, it's funny. I asked my dad that same question. I was like, when did you think that I was like good enough to like go to college and hit, and then go to like to be drafted and go to the next level? And I mean, I still don't have an answer for myself or from him, but like it was just one of those things that like, because I always look at it in high school, all those guys that go Division 1, they were all the best players on your high school team. So now you go to Division 1, and now it's you versus a bunch of yous, and then like you succeed at that level, you're like, wow, you're starting really to like set yourself apart. And like baseball is a game of numbers. I would follow the numbers, checking on what other guys are doing, and like you compare yourself, and you're like, wow, maybe you can really do this. And then I was playing summer ball in Forest City, North Carolina after my junior year, and I'll never forget it, man. We were playing Russell Wilson's team, and I'm running over to my bag. It's the second day of the draft, so I think it's rounds like 10 to 30 or something at that time, and run over and check my bag, and on the MLB ticker, my name popped up with the Padres, and then my advisor at the time had called me, and then the Padres called me, man. And it was right before a game. I was about to play a doubleheader versus Russell Wilson's team, and my coach is yelling at me because like I'm supposed to be hitting batting practice,
Right.
and he's yelling at me, and then he finds out later, right before the game, he goes, "Matt, I apologize." He said, "This has got to be one of the greatest days of your life." And I said, I was like in complete shock, because like this is what you dream about, like from a kid. Like this is all I wanted was a chance to play and to watch my name pop up on that ticker, and then. Like, I'll never forget it. I think I went like 3 for 6 with 2 doubles during the doubleheader, and I get to second base, and Russell Wilson's out there. He goes, I know what hurt. He goes, "Congratulations, Vince," and
Wow.
shook my hand out there. And it was a dream come true. There's no other way to explain it. It was just a dream come true.
Well, you
So you
explained it well.
so you spent time with the San Diego Padres, MLB farm system, Tampa Bay Rays. I think they were called the Devil Rays at that time. And obviously there were some hurdles. For you spent quite a bit of time in the minors leagues before you were called up to the show. So what were some of your biggest hurdles that you had to overcome going from the minor leagues to what we call the show, actually a major league roster? And then also, what were some of the life lessons you learned through that process?
Man, it's a grind. It is a grind. Minor league baseball, that's the only way that you can describe it, because I was used to playing on Tuesday and Thursday, and then you have 3 games on the weekends. Maybe in high school you play 3 games on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. But this was literally almost playing every single day, just back to back to back to back. I forget what it was. We'd play 150 games if you made it to the playoffs in 160 days. The travel after the games, depending on your leagues, you're riding on one bus for a 12-hour bus ride, and then you got to wait. I mean, you ain't waking up. You're trying to sleep on the bus. By the time you get there, it's the next day at noon. And then you're playing at 7 o'clock that night. So the adjustments with travel wise, and obviously as the higher you get, double A, you start flying, triple A, you're flying all the time, which is more convenient, but still like it's a grind when you think about you're trying to get ready, get sleep, and get ready to prepare for that game tonight. Like there's sometimes it's all about adjustments. Baseball is literally a game of nothing but adjustments.
All right, appreciate you sharing that.
All right, so Vince, sorry about that. I got kind of lost on my questions. At any point during your baseball journey, did you think about giving up playing professional baseball?
Nah, never crossed my mind. Not until like it was never giving up to me. It was like, am I at the end of my road? Because once you sign and you get released from a team, like your contract starts over. So like you become a free agent. So at that time, like if you don't have any offers or whatnot, then you're just on and about it. And like when I was done in 2015, I had independent ball teams calling left and right, but it just wasn't something that I was willing to sacrifice since I had been all the way up to the top level. For me, it felt like I was going to try to restart this journey, even though like I think I had plenty of gas left in the tank. The last couple years struggled a little bit, and then it's all about money, man. It all comes down to money and investments teams that have made, and where their money's tied up in draft picks and whatnot. And that 2015, I didn't have any free agent offers or any deals to go play any overseas or whatnot. So it was kind of just like, all right, well, then I'm just going to retire then.
Now you played for quite a few years, minor league and Major League Baseball. So who are some of the most influential Major League Baseball managers or players to have an impact on you?
Man, my short season manager, he managed, his name was Greg Reddock. He managed Tony Gwynn with the Padres. And to have him in my first year kind of calm me down and just like explain how this whole process is going to work and whatnot, it was really beneficial to me in my career. And then there was always people up along the way. I had the same hitting coach, Tom Tornicasa, in high A and double A. And my best years in the minors were always with him. He just knew my swing, knew what was wrong, when it was wrong, and it was just a quick fix for him. My hitting coach and in high A and triple A was the same, Bob Scoob. He was a good cat too. And then the last guy I'll probably say is Charlie Montoyo and Dave Myers, my crew that I had when I was in AAA with the Durham Bulls. They were some really good people and helped me along the way, because in AAA, I mean, you're really close to the big leagues, so you're intermingled and you're playing just nothing but ex big leaguers and like top minor league guys at that level. So they kept me focused and got me to where I needed to be.
Appreciate you sharing.
So Vince, you have a hitting academy called Balance Hitting Academy and located in Parksburg. What inspired you to start or be co-founder of the Hitting Academy? And tell us about your primary mission of the Hitting Academy.
Well, basically, I started doing hitting lessons probably in 2011-ish. So I've been doing it for almost 15 years now. And my buddy Tracy Clark, he's the owner of the Balance Bat and the academy. He approached me when I was playing in 2012-ish, kind of, and he invented this training bat. And I kind of got hooked on it, and me and Tracy kept our relationship going, and then we started sharing the same facility, and then we were like, why don't we turn this into something? And that's kind of where we're at now. We train teams, train players, speed, agility, hitting. It's just what we're trying to do is trying to make the next generation as good as possible when it comes to just being fit and being everything explosive wise to hone your craft. When it comes to baseball or softball, everything is detailed to that, and all the hitting programs, they come from my experiences, Tracy's experiences, and just kind of try to get everything together into one to help these kids succeed that are around our area.
So how can a kid or a parent, get in contact with you guys? Do you have a website or anything?
Usually I do everything direct contact through me. You can get on balancebatacademy.com My buddy Tracy, he has training programs and hitting programs on there. I do some of the team trainings and I do personal lessons and whatnot. But that's either done through his website or contacting me through Facebook or text message or email.
All right, thanks for sharing that information. And you got the information. If you have a budding baseball player, get in touch with Vince Belnome, and maybe Vince can help your young person get to the next level. So here, and we have a couple of comments. The balanced bat is for softball. Also, thank you, Kim, our network coordinator. And what's up, Sister Man? Glad to have you watching our show on today. So we do a thing called Red Raiders Rapid Fire. And this is how we conclude our interviews. And this is something that we don't give you the heads up on. We gave you the questions so you get an idea what we're going to be asking, but we're not going to give you any idea of what we're about to ask you right now. So here are the rules. I'm going to call out something. You have 1 to 3 words to describe that something or someone that I make mention of. If you give more than 3 words, I have the power of the mute button on my side. All right? So I need you to follow these directions. First thing that comes to mind in 1 to 3 words. So we're ready to have Red Raiders Rapid Fire with Vince Belnome. Are you ready, Vince?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Cash.
High school.
West Virginia.
Best place ever.
Durham Bulls.
Triple A.
San Diego Padres.
My start.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Big leagues.
Joe Madden.
Unbelievable person.
Tropicana Field.
First ballpark.
Matt Scherzer.
First hit.
Vincent Belnome.
Me.
Kimberly Ann Belnome.
My mama. My
Abby.
beautiful wife.
2 sons.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we want to thank you, Vince, for sharing with us on the CVille Sports Mentality Show. We thank you so much for your time, also for the insight and just telling your story. And we appreciate being able to bring you on, especially since baseball season for Cash is right around the corner. Real quickly, as we close, do you still have any involvement with the baseball team at Cash?
There's a good amount of the boys that come up to the facility and hit, so I'm always intermingling with them and get to talk to them here and there. It's good. It's good to still see the program succeeding and going in the right direction, and Coach Zake's still there, and same guys are still helping to try to get these kids to the next level.
That's what's up. Well, thank you so much for your time. CVille Sports Mentality Show family, can you all show some love? Send up some hearts, send up some likes for Coatesville's own Vincent Belnome. Let's give it up for Brother Vince. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope to have you again on the CVille Sports Mentality Show. All right, that was a great interview, Mr. Grubb, and we're so glad we were able to have Brother Vince on the show. With that being said, we got another great interview coming on. So y'all get 2 interviews on today. In just a few moments, we'll be bringing on one of Coatesville's own basketball legend, Brother Darrel Lewis. So we're looking forward to having Darrel come on in just a second. Now, as Darrel played basketball, we know that there was some basketball that took place this past week as we give an update on the Coatesville boys and girls basketball teams. We'll start with the girls. The girls' season came to an end this past week. They lost their first-round district game to Conestoga, and it was a tough loss. And we want to applaud Coach Tino Nicholson, still giving us some time after the game to allow us to interview her. We both were at the game. We covered the game. what were your thoughts, not just about the game, but if you could sum up the girls' basketball season, what would you say, Mr. Grubb?
It's hard to find a word to sum that season up. I mean, it's not nothing bad. It's growth. It's growth. It's determination, growth, sticking to it, believing that you have goals, that you can achieve them. I see a lot of young ladies on that team, sophomores and freshmen, and they just need to grow together, man, and get back in the lab, you know. And I seen some potential on there too. I'm a big fan of Janasia and Ava and Milan and Gianna. I hope they all get in the gym, work hard, and go from there. Yeah, don't come on, Red. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Because
Willie Dick will be on you every week, man.
Well, see, I try to be professional on this show, There's a time and a place. Willie Dicker, he's a short guy, Lord Farquaad syndrome. My guy, though, gotta love him. Gotta love him. Gotta love him.
All right. We're going to pause right there just so that you won't say anything else. But
you're starting to know me too well, sir.
I think the word that you used, growth, was a phenomenal word to describe the girls' basketball season, for real. Because actually, before you said growth, that was the word that came to my mind. If I had to use one word to describe the girls' season, they have a lot of young talent. You have two solid freshmen in Janasia and Milan Bryant. Then you have Micaiah, the sophomore point guard, Gianna, who shoots the three quite well. And you already have a good nucleus to come in. Hopefully some size can come in, and hopefully everybody will stay together. You know that now that we're in this transfer portal era, you never know what might happen. You might not know who might try to leave out, who might come in. But we hope that if these girls stick together, we'll see a lot more growth, a lot more production on the basketball court, and some better days coming for the girls' basketball team. With that being said, we talked about the boys' Chestnut League Championship that they won last Monday. On tomorrow, they start their district championship journey. They got a first-round bye in the districts. They play down in Town West for the fourth time. And that is very tricky, for we know that in the Chestnut Championship, down in town took them into overtime. And if it weren't for the clutch free throws of Colton Hiller, who got fouled right before the end of regulation to tie the game, he had did all three. Down in town would have been possibly the Chestnut League champs, because they would have advanced to the championship game. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Grubb, as the Coatesville boys have to play this team that played them well the last two times, because they even played them well in the last time they played at Coatesville. So what are your thoughts as they go into the district tournament starting tomorrow?
Well, you saying woulda, coulda, shoulda is like saying the Kansas City Chiefs could have, would have, and should have beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
They have in the past. They are the two-time champions until the Eagles won this time.
I'm trying to answer the question. I'm trying to answer the question about the Coastal Boys basketball team, Red.
Not even necessarily. You're talking to my Chiefs like we not the.
I didn't mean to get you. I didn't mean to get you upset.
See, I let that first one go. I let that first one go. I let that first one go, but I ain't gonna let you keep jabbing at me. All right, just be lucky your Eagles won, because they were about to be called the Philadelphia 66ers, because they would have been 66% of the Chiefs three-peat. Don't you forget about that. But anyway, back on topic. What were you about to say about the game, the basketball game?
I'm sorry, I was over here choking. Anyway, look, man, that was a great game. The last game. It's hard to beat a team two times in one season. hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. Now Coastville has to beat them 4 times in one season, and I think they are up to the task. They have a strong team. They have a strong starting 5. They can go 7, 8 deep. Max Hiller is coming off the bench or until Jonas comes back, and he gave a stellar performance. As Scoogie would say, he did a yeoman's job that championship game. So they got a strong coaching staff. Tootie is a great leader. Ricky Hicks is a great leader. You got Mark Bailey. Man, you have what it takes to go deep in the districts. They have what it takes to go deep in the states. Now all they have to do is bring that A game every night, and they'll be fine.
That's good commentary. I wish you had started off with that instead of that Eagles Chiefs foolishness. But you definitely finally brought it on home to
I gotta pick and choose.
A good assessment.
I gotta get it in when I can get it in. Rev.
I see, and you know it might be short-lived because y'all don't have a history of repeating. So I understand why you're going to try to get it in as much as you can get it in. My team has a history of repeating and also consistently going to the Super Bowl. So I understand why you and look at Brother Fonz, the Chiefs were the best, but not anymore. Do it 2 times, and then you'll really show me some Eagles. Do it 2 times in a row.
Brother
How about
Fonz,
that?
he knows what he's talking about.
Because right now, if y'all want to go there, my quarterback has more Super Bowl championships in 7 years than your whole franchise. Let's not go there, but we're going to get back on topic.
My homie.
We're going to get back on topic. My quarterback got more Super Bowls than your entire franchise. So I didn't want to go there. But
back on topic, Rev. You know who does repeats?
Who?
The Coastville boys basketball team. Back-to-back Chestnut championships. That's who do repeats.
That sounds like they know what Chiefs territory feels like.
The only thing they got in common with the Chiefs is the color red. That's it.
And two championships in a row. That's a common too. And that's something the Eagles don't have in common with the boys.
Well, we've been.
All right, we're gonna stop. See, that's what happens.
Last word. We're gonna change this for the last word. Last word.
Go ahead.
Who won the game?
The Eagles won.
That's all I need for you to say.
That's good. And that's why I'm glad you're cherishing it this year, because it probably won't happen next year because there's no history of you all ever repeating. So we're gonna move on.
I will clip this. I'm gonna clip it.
Go ahead and clip it. Because Mahomes gonna get that line help, and your team ain't gonna dominate our offensive line like they did this year. Bet on that. All right, with that being said, we're going to shift this train because it's not even really football season anymore. We're in the heart of basketball season. It is tournament time, and it is great for us to be able to bring on one of Coatesville's legends, Darrel Lewis. He is one of the best to come through Coatesville. He is the all-time leading scorer for Lincoln University here in PA, and went on and played multiple years overseas, taking Coatesville internationally. With that being said, Seville Sports Mentality family, can you please show some Seville love to your own? Darrel Lewis has now entered the Seville Sports Mentality Show building. What's going on, bro, Darrel?
What's going on? Thank you for having me. What's going on?
We truly
they're going at it, man. Y'all gotta stop it, man.
Well, Mr. Grubb been feeling himself a little bit since his team won the championship, and
That's
it's
right.
all good.
Yeah, tell him again, bro. That's our
all right. Who
That's
won
right.
the game? That's right. What's up, Shaddy?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. Good to have you, man. Thank you
for having me. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's go, Mr. Grubb.
So, Chad, we're gonna start off and listen. When we had the last interview, Rev caught me off guard a little bit. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, I gotta step up. I've been sitting on the bench. I'm wanting to get in. It's the fourth quarter, and Rev gonna get mad at me because I'm going off topic again.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
All right, we're gonna get to this interview, brother. How would you describe your experience growing up in Coatesville?
Coachville teach you to be tough skin. You know what I mean? The streets we come from, it teach you to be really tough skin, but it also teach you to be humble, man. Because things things ain't just handed to you. You working for everything. You know what I mean? So I had good people around me, steer me away from a lot of bad things. But I grew up in some of the bad things that helped me understand that I don't want to. That's not for me. You understand? But Coatesville, man, it's home. It's I feel safer in Coatesville than when I was in York. You know what I mean? I love to come home. Home is home. You know what I mean? Always gonna be home. So yeah.
So you touched on some of the influence that you had in your life. Who were some of those influences that kept you balanced as a kid and then growing into a young man?
Everybody. I mean, as far as coming up, when I really started taking basketball serious, because I was playing a lot of different sports, but when I end up really start playing basketball serious, I wrecked on a 3-wheeler on Christmas Day and snapped my leg. So I stopped playing. I used to play baseball. I used to be a quarterback playing football. All that stopped. Everything ceased. And I put all my energy in basketball. So as I started getting better in basketball, Ricky Hicks, you know what I mean, Amp Hogard, guys like Darrel Naylor. Then I had my uncles who seen that I was really good at a young age. Dwayne Norman, Kevin Norman, my uncle Alexander Boo Norman. They knew they would take me to little tournaments and just let me go, and it just started. As I started getting older, I started playing with older guys, and it just made me tough. And I, once I started seeing I can score on all, I didn't really realize how good I got into probably after college. You know what I mean? I will always hear, yo, you good, but all right, I'm trying to, how good am I? If I'm that good, I got to be able to get paid from this game. You know what I mean? And that was my whole mentality. Like coming from Coatesville, coming from a small town hey. Then I went to two historically black colleges. If you know anything about the business of this, man, I learned so much that they don't even look like you got Division I talent in these D2, D3 schools here. Like you understand, in these historically black colleges, and in that political world of basketball, man. You can average 50, man. This is what you're gonna have to darn near average, close to 30 get points a game for them to look at you. You know what I mean? And that's what my uncles and them, they always don't matter. When I transferred from Eastern Shore to Lincoln, they was like, don't care where you at. If you do the work and do what you need to do, you gonna get looked at. And that's what happened.
Well, we're gonna come back to your college days. We're gonna go back to your high school days. Out of all the coaches that you had, it could be in high school, it could be Little League. Who would you say had the most impact on your game?
Wow, that's a good question. I never thought of that one. I'm gonna go with high school. I'm gonna go with Scoogie and Ross Kershey. Ross Kershey took me. I was coming off the bench on my 11th grade year. I mean, people knew I can play, but I was coming off the bench as 6 man. And I remember when we was done with that season, my senior year, I walked into Kershey taught history. I walked into his room and said, "Welcome, coach." I didn't know anything about. I didn't know the history of the Silver Fox. I didn't know anything about him. But I walked in and shook his hand and like, "Welcome, coach. Let's get the season ready." And he's told me, it's like that was one of the he started crying, tears started coming out of his eyes. He's like, I touched him that much, and he told me, he's like, "You're gonna be my point guard for this year." And man, Kershey, like him and his wife, they took me in, and it's like he just gave me you've seen it, boy. He just gave me listen. Yeah. He took care of me, and he made a big impression on me. And Scoogie, I used to go to Skoogie's house before every home game. I wouldn't go home. I would go to his house. We'd look at a little bit of film, and that was like my place to sit on his couch and go to sleep. And we'd talk about the game and what I need to do. And them two bringing me through, my 11th, 12th grade year, they had a big impact on me. You know what I mean? It got to the point where like Skoog knew, all right, I got the blanket there waiting for you. I used to call Skoogie, his nickname I never told you was Bug-Eye Frampton, because he used to wear them thick glasses.
Yeah, I knew what you called him because I heard it.
Bug-Eye Frampton.
Yeah.
That was my guy. Yeah, that was they I believe they had a real strong impact on my on my starting from leaving out of high school, great transition to college. Yeah.
It's
What?
definitely good that you shared those thoughts about Skuggy and Kershey, because that's one of the reasons that we're doing this show, is to bring the community closer together with the local sports scene, and
Yeah.
also bringing back past players, alumni, and hopefully all sports, so we can hear those stories, and the young people hear those stories, and maybe some of those things that you guys are saying may have an impact on their lives. So we appreciate you
Yeah.
expressing
And
your
if you
thoughts.
look at Mr. Grubb's background, you can see he's trying to enter the show.
I didn't bring that up. I didn't bring that up. I didn't bring that up.
He still don't realize.
Yeah,
He still
didn't
doesn't
bring that up.
realize when I gave him a practice run before we started the show, that was his chance to be interviewed. You see, he tried to enter the show with his background being taking the charge from Kobe Bryant. You see how he tried to.
Hey, Rev, like Shad said, you come from Coastville. Sometimes things ain't gonna be given to you. You got to take it, man. You got to take it.
I
It's
see you
district
using
playoffs
that
are going on
platform
right
to
now.
take it.
So that's district playoffs at the Palestra, brother.
Yeah.
1995. That was
Did
a
you actually
charge.
get the charge, or did he get the N1?
That was a charge. They called a foul on me, but that was a charge.
Well, then it was a foul on you.
No,
You
no,
can't revisit history.
he
That
told
was
me
a
that was a charge.
Oh, so
That
I
was
can
a charge.
imagine the referee said, block, count the basket.
Yeah, and I said something.
So as Mr. Grubb has his most memorable Coatesville moment as his background, what was your most memorable Coatesville moment as a basketball player?
That was nice.
Mine was the Palestra too, when we played Glen Mills. Glen Mills in the Palestra. We beat Chester the game before at the buzzer. And then we played Glen Mills at the Palestra. Game we should have won. Wholeheartedly, we should have won. We was up 10 and end up losing by 3. That was one of the most, because some of the guys I haven't even played against. I played against overseas. Some of them guys went overseas. So later years I met up with them, and we just talked about high school. So that was it.
All right. Brother Fon said, Darrel, I appreciate the humble spirit you've always exhibited. So Brother Fon showing you some love. You and I have something in common. We both played college basketball at HBCUs.
Yeah.
All right. From what I read, you first decided to attend Maryland Eastern Shore.
Shout out to Skuggy. Because
and I was about to ask you, was that under the influence of who I call Deacon Skoogie Smith?
Yep. Shout out to Skuggy. Mm-hmm.
So expound more about that.
When I went there, I mean, so during my time, all they preach is D1, D1, D1. So you feel like you only had to go to D1 to get noticed. So like I was recruited by every D2 school pretty much in that state. But I was like, I had D1 in my mind because I needed to get seen. I knew I had a gift. I needed to be seen. All right, if I'm gonna go, I want to go D1. Skuggy talked to the people down at Maryland Eastern Shore. I'm going. I get down there. I don't think I was really in there playing so much. They had me working out and all that. And I just didn't. I mean, I made sure I stayed on top of my grades, but I feel like I really wasn't in there playing. So, I was like, I don't feel good here. I'm going back to Pennsylvania. I'm going to find a different school. You know what I mean?
Now, before you go on, Darrel, expound more about why you felt you weren't in their plans.
Like, it was always, let me say, it was always excuses from the coaches. You know what I mean? Always excuses. Like, I see the recruits, I'm with the recruits, I work out, we do everything together. And, I just felt like I said, so we talking about, okay, so when you come, when it's your time to start playing, what's my program? And it was always like a runaround, you know what I mean? Was giving me the runaround. I'm like, man, I ain't used to that. I ended up starting coming home every weekend or from down there. I was like, I'm getting on the bus. I got to be around my family. I need to go home, feel like I just need to be around my people. I was coming home every week. So I was just like, it got to the point after Christmas and I was talking to the coach down there and I just felt like, I was just like, man, what's your plan for me? And he couldn't really expound on where he wanted me to play at. So I was just like, man, I'm transferring. I'm going back home. I didn't know what school I was going to go to. I didn't know. Lincoln wasn't even in the cards at the time. I was just really going back to the schools that recruited me, wanted me there, and I was just like, all right, let me see what I'm gonna do. And I ended up sitting out a semester. And my coach Andy Heyman from Westchester, he knew I played, knew I played locally. He's like, why don't you come to Lincoln? And I just wanted to get in school at this point. I just wanted to be in school. I felt like if I stay out of school too long, I'm not going back. You know what I mean? And that was just, I got to get in school. I got to get in school. He's like, why don't you come to Lincoln? I said, man, what's Lincoln's basketball team like? He's like, we such and such. So my mind automatically was like, well, I'm going to come because I want to get in school. So I went, practiced with the team. I seen who was, the competition up there. I seen first game we played against Millersville. It's about 10 people in the stands. It's about 10 people. And I'm like, man, I don't like this. And we end up losing. So, and I'm like, they put me right in the starting lineup. I had like 12 points. The next day, all the seniors and seniors that thought they were something for Lincoln were just talking, chitter chat. So now I got mad. My pride stepped up. My coach for pride jumped in and said, none of y'all can beat me one-on-one. None of y'all. I said, y'all bum. So I'm talking trash. They start talking crazy. One of my friends, Kareem Johnson from Philly, he came. He was recruited too. Man, we said, all right, we're going to play 2-on-2. We start playing for money. Ain't none of them win. We won 5 straight games, and it's like, I just start talking. I said, y'all, man, listen, this is my team now. They was upset with me. And the coach, he pretty much gave me the reins to the team. And then after that, it was just like, yo, I got a mission. I got a goal while I'm here. I'm not here to just to be playing around. Like I'm trying to play professional. I'm trying to get some money from this game. And that's how I attacked the whole situation. I was just, listen, I got to get good grades. I got to get my degree because if something happened to me, I need something to fall back on. You know what I mean? So that was important for me before I left.
Hold on, Mr. Grubb, because I got to piggyback up on something that he said. Now, when you went to Maryland Eastern Shore, were they in the MEAC?
Yes, they're in the MEAC. Yep.
So that means they were Division I.
Yeah, Division I. Yes.
So this is very interesting because I think somebody needs to pay attention to the story that you're telling. Because when you kept on saying after you left Maryland Eastern Shore, I had to stay in school, it was clear that you made academics more of your priority than basketball because you went from playing Division I to Division III.
Yeah, it was Division.
And that's a huge change.
Yeah, Division III at the time. Before that, yeah, it was Division III at the time, and I knew that I didn't want to sit out because during that time, if you transferred anytime, if you transferred over to a D1, or if you transferred back down, you had to sit out 1 year.
Yeah.
They changed the rules. Is great for these kids now. They can go anywhere they want to go. Because sure enough, if I could, I'd have been going too. But that's how I knew I wanted to play too. I didn't want to take no chances on not playing. So when I was like, I ended up leaving out of Eastern Shore with a 3.2, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Lincoln, and I want to play. So I knew I can come right in and play without having to sit down. That was more important than anything. I was like, I could play, and that's how it started. Once I got to Lincoln, again, I challenged everybody there, and it became my team. My coach, he knew. He's like, man, he didn't really. I don't think he really knew what he had in me. Andy was always my mouthpiece, but he seen it. He seen when I started playing, and he knew like, yo, this guy's a leader. He's doing this. He's doing this. He only a freshman, and he just everything was after that. It's funny because it's a guy. His name was Chris Curry. He ran dean of academics at Lincoln. He was just like, man, we can't take care of you like those big D1 schools, but we're gonna take care of you. And he gave me I had my own room with a shower, like everything was good. You know what I mean? I was Lincoln, if I can say anything, Lincoln changed my life, man. Lincoln, like, that's my school. That's my heart. Like, I wear Lincoln proudly. That school changed my life. And just the professors I met and people, longtime friends, it really changed my life.
Now, are you willing to admit you got a brown paper bag now? See, ballers will know what I just said right there.
Listen, they might have got paper bag. I didn't. I wish I did.
Okay. Now, before Mr. Grubb continues on, now, because I had something in common when you played HBCU basketball. So you went from Division I, Division III. I played at a Division II school, but when I was in high school, I played against the likes of Sharif Abdur-Rahim in high school. Played actually against them first time when I was in 8th grade. One of my teammates played for Georgia Tech, Michael Maddox. I played against Antonio Reynolds that went on to Rhode Island, so forth and so on. So by the time I went to college, I was like, I know I could play on this level because when I turned on the TV, I played against these guys in high school. So when you're going down from Division I to Division III, and we know typically the talent is supposed to be much greater in Division I, did that help you have that mentality that you brought to Lincoln?
I just knew that I didn't think the talent was terrible, but I just felt like, who's gonna see me down here in Division III?
Right.
Because like you said, they don't. It's really a mindset of Division I. These guys is much better. These guys is, Division II is this way. These guys is this. It's a mindset they have. But it's so much Division I talent in Division III schools. You just don't know the person's situation. Just like I said, when I got on my journey to go overseas, right? I met a Darrel Lewis in almost every camp I was at. I met a Darrel Lewis in almost every camp I was at, and I either had to outplay him. Like, I was like, well, this dude more athletic than me. This dude, he's a little stronger than me. I'm learning something from that person. You know what I mean? I was meeting me, and I was telling people, I said, man, ain't nobody gonna believe in you like you. But when I started going to these camps and start meeting guys that I knew, I'm looking at them, they going to this little school or this little school, and they can play. I said, man, it's one of me in every state. So I got to challenge him. You know what I mean?
So, Shad, I want to move backwards a little bit after Rev start talking about himself again. Don't
hate because you didn't play college basketball. Don't hate.
Rev, you're wrong. Actually, I did play college basketball for Wesley College, and yes, it was a Division III school, but it was one of the best.
Did you play or were you on the team?
Rev, let me finish explaining what I'm saying. Okay?
There's a huge difference.
Right? You had your turn.
See, I'm not going to let you take those jabs at me.
I'm not taking no jabs. These are straight haymaker hooks, okay?
Yeah. But you did see how I connected my experience to where he could relate, and therefore he piggybacked on what I said. You did see that. Learn how you do that.
No, I wasn't paying attention. I was sleeping during that part.
Exactly. See, that's why I'm trying to teach you how to do these things. Because since you want to go there, I'm gonna let you ask your question. See, I'm gonna let you ask a question. So Darrel, he gets excited with you Coatesville guys coming on. So he wants to make sure that y'all remember he was relevant. So he tells all about how he got played. He got picked up at Ash Park. And do you remember? Matter of fact, go on as far as do y'all remember me? No, I'm just playing.
I'll let Shad answer that question. Go ahead, Shad.
Bo played tough, man. Bo was rough. He was rough. Bo was rough.
Was he good or rough?
He was rough. He played. He knew how to
play. I knew my role.
I knew my role.
He played a role. Okay. All right.
I knew my role.
Go ahead and ask your question. Man.
I'm gonna put you on mute if I had that button.
You don't have the power, so go ahead and ask the question.
Listen, I remember a time we were in class because we had a class together. I forget what class it was. It might have been Spanish. I'm not sure, but I remember you sitting at your desk filling out an application to Coppin State. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember a time when we were in the locker room, and Kershey. It was after practice, and Kershey had asked you, Shaddy, where do you want to go to school at? And you said, what did you say? You remember what you said? What school you said?
I don't
It was
remember.
LaSalle.
Wow.
You said LaSalle.
LaSalle. I did have interest in LaSalle.
And his response to you was, well, Shaddy, I don't think that would be a good fit. I think Speedy Morris was the coach at the time, was it?
He was. Yep.
He said, I don't think that would be a good fit, Shaddy, because Kareem, what was his name?
Kareem Towns.
Kareem Towns is there.
And I forgot Red's last name. Reds was there too, a point guard from down Philly. He was really good. Yeah.
So there's a point to this story.
I'm waiting for it.
The reason why I'm saying this is because I say that you are my favorite player I seen play Coastal basketball. And
Mhm.
that's not blowing smoke, you know.
Right. I appreciate that,
I
bro.
was there at those moments and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, wow, you know, any other high school kid where a coach would say that kind of shoot you down,
Mhm.
or you filling out the long form of the application because you got aspirations of
On
playing
red
Division One.
foot,
Yeah.
bro.
So
Crazy.
I'm watching you. I'm a year behind you. I'm watching. I'm like, man, look at this kid, man. He's not giving up. He didn't give up. And then when you look at your whole career and you see the culmination of it, you're like, that wasn't easy to do.
No, it
So
was.
there's really no question to this right here. It was
I
just
was waiting for you to admit that. I was waiting for you to admit
hold
that.
on, Rev, because this is really serious. That somebody that's watching the show, it might help them.
Yeah.
Okay.
This ain't no joke.
I appreciate the seriousness, but you got on me but where I asked the question, right? So that's why I took away the seriousness of what you just said, because you took a pot shot at me bringing myself into the question, and you told a story without a question. So that's all. That's all I wanted you to just understand.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished talking. It wasn't serious to you because you
No,
didn't
no, no, no.
experience it.
No,
You
no,
understand
no.
what I'm saying?
I didn't say it wasn't serious.
All right.
All
so
I want you to do is, before you take shots at me about including me, make sure you don't do what you just accused me of doing. Because I brought myself in and I asked him a question. You really didn't ask him a question. That's all I'm saying. So learn when to take your pot shots. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And I prefaced it by saying this wasn't a question.
No. You said that after you spoke for 5 minutes.
Well,
that's when you said it. But we're not going to waste Darrel's time. We're not going to waste Darrel's time. We're not going to waste Darrel's time. Hold on for a second. So I'm going to applaud you for giving Darrel his props. Now, what I want you to do, if you don't mind, since you took 5 minutes on telling Darrel about how he's your favorite player, why is he your favorite player besides you seeing him to talk about Coppin State and LaSalle? What was it about his game that caused him, or his mentality that caused him to be your favorite player?
This is a thing I'm going to teach you, Rev.
I'm asking you a question. It's a pointed question. It's a pointed question.
I'm trying to answer.
Answer the question about him.
Let's not disinterest our
No.
guest, okay?
You just gave a soliloquy about all the letters that he received, and you remember conversations that he did. So I'm asking you, stay on script.
This is what I'm going to say.
Stay on script.
This is what I'm going to teach you. This is what I'm going to teach you tonight. You have to learn to listen also.
No. I listen. I listen.
You're interrupting.
Darrel Lewis. I'm going to add Darrel Lewis.
You're interrupting.
I know. I'm going to put you on mute right quick, Mr. Grubb. Mr. Grubb, I gave you a pointed question. Put you on mute real quickly. I'm going to ask you a question. Please tell us why Darrel was your favorite player. And give us stuff about the court. Don't come back at me. Answer the question. Please. Stay on script.
You still got me on mute?
No. I'm asking you to stay on script and answer the question.
You're asking me why he was my favorite player.
On the court.
Will you let me talk? Come on, bro. Jeez.
On the court.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't. But if you want me to ask a question, I'm going to answer it. Stop interrupting me, please. So you asked me why he was my favorite player, right? That's what you asked me, right? I said I'm going to give you a story of my experience with Shaddy. So if you weren't listening to what I was saying as watching him fill out his applications.
I heard that. And here's what I said. I referenced you about how you talked about Coppin State and how you referenced LaSalle. So if you were listening, I came back and asked you, what was it about on the court or what was his mentality that you fell in love with Darrel? Oh, I heard your story. I referenced that.
You're not listening.
I did listen. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, because we're not going to interrupt. And Darrel deserves better. Darrel deserves better.
Yes, he
So
does.
you know what? You go ahead on and finish the interview. I'm gonna be quiet.
I'm done.
No.
Come on, y'all. Let's finish up, man.
I'm done.
Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead, Rev.
Finish
Rev.
up.
You got the power, bro. Go ahead.
No, it's not about the power I asked you about on the court. So let me ask you, Darrel.
That wasn't about.
Let me ask you, Darrel. You gave it to me. I'm gonna take it over. You gave it to me, so I'm gonna take it over. Darrel, what would you say about your game that you feel was the most impressive part of your game?
I didn't get rattled. You couldn't speed me up, or I wasn't the fastest player. I could shoot. I can do it all. I just wasn't so athletic in my senior year. I wasn't athletic. I wasn't dunking or nothing like that. I can handle the ball real well. I can shoot the ball really well. But as time went on, I like the post players because I'm physical. I think that was like one of the hidden parts. I'm really physical, so I like to bump. I always wanted to take. I didn't feel right if you didn't bump me or hit me or something. I always wanted to feel contact. And I think that was like the hidden part of my game that really like shaped me into the player I was.
So who would you say are some of the basketball influences? Let's say like all of us had players that we probably admire growing up, especially pro at that time, because we came up during the era where we could actually look at college players and pro players and want to kind of become like them or develop their basketball IQ and so forth and so on. So who are some of those pro or college players for you?
Bonzi Wells. Remember Bonzi Wells?
Yeah.
Joe Smith. Yeah, they was some of my favorite players. I really like Bonzi Wells because he just played so physical. It's crazy. So I have so many, they slip in my mind now. But Bonzi Wells, I used to always scream his name when I was saying Bonzi Wells, and I just like the way he played, man. And then I kind of just try to follow after him, a little bit. So
last question for me, and then I'm gonna ask Mr. Grubb to give you the Red Raiders rapid fire. We know that you played extensive time overseas. Matter of fact, I looked at your stats, and it seemed like, as the song says in church, every round goes higher and higher. And your stats, especially when it comes to scoring, went up. And it seemed like you retired right at the time when your scoring average was still going up. So tell us about your experience playing overseas and then what led you to ultimately go ahead on and retire while you were still playing solid basketball.
My experience overseas is wonderful because I never expected. I did because I didn't never declare for no NBA lottery draft. I knew that my career would start overseas just from the school I was coming from. I knew that was always my mind. I'm going over the waters. I'm going to get there. It's just going to take me a little bit from the road travel. But my first year I played in Holland, and then the team went bankrupt. So I'm like, where am I going now? Signed with a European agent because I just thought he's in Europe, he's gonna have connections. Went to Iceland, ended up coming to Iceland for 3 years, ended up getting Icelandic citizenship. Didn't have to marry. They helped me get the citizenship. Leave there, go to Italy for 2 years, then go to Greece for 6 years. come back to Iceland and finish up 5 years. But the whole experience was beautiful because learning different cultures, learning that America is not, you can't go to different countries with that American mentality. Like, we from America, we don't gotta obey no laws or nothing like that. People will lock you up over there. Oh, you ain't in America when you go in that other country. So one of the things I learned after like my first 2 years of playing in Europe was every country I went to, I would always try to learn their mannerisms. Good morning, good night, or how are you? I would learn where the airport was, and I would always try to learn their money system because in Europe, if you're getting paid in euro or dollar, the exchange rate, it changes every day. So that can be a loss of $100 to a couple $1,000 each day because of the exchange rate So I will always try to learn. What would get me by was I would learn the mannerisms, and Europeans like Americans that try to at least learn their language or fit in their culture. You know, it's not you're not learning everything. You're not gonna learn everything, but if you know how to say good morning, how are you, good night, there's it's like a respect thing for them. So I will always try to do that.
One person asked a question, and you were talking about how there's a lot of D1 talent, and actually there's NBA talent in Division II schools.
Yes.
One person that went to the NBA out of Morehouse was Harold Ellis. Did you know Harold Ellis?
I didn't.
Okay. All right. That was a question from my mother, who was big into Morehouse basketball.
It's so many. I mean, you figure all these historically black colleges. It's so many. Man, you can't even put a number on how many great players are in these schools. You just don't know until they get on the big stage. You know, you won't know.
Doubt.
You won't know. Right.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Grubb. We do a thing called Rev Raiders Rapid Fire, and this is something that we did not send you. So Mr. Grubb is going to give you some people or some things, and we ask that you respond to those things in 1 to 3 words. Give us the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right?
All right, Shad. 1 to 3 words. Coastal basketball.
Powerhouse.
The Palestra.
Excitement.
Since I reminded you, Coppin State.
Missed out on it. Missed out.
Lincoln University.
Home away from home.
You got Ash Park.
Home away from home.
You got 9th Avenue.
Home away from home.
1994, your graduation year.
Confused.
Coastal Summer League.
Champions.
Scoogie.
Bug-eye framed in my heart.
And the last one is Uga.
My brother.
That's dope.
Thanks, Shad.
Now, we let you get away with 4 words. Home away from home is 4 words.
Oh, okay.
I know they taught you that at Lincoln.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
I showed you grace.
You can get away with it, brother.
Showed you some grace with those 4 words. But
man, I had to show y'all something. Y'all had me on this line going back and forth, man. Y'all know,
Listen, I apologize, Shad. Look, don't get us wrong. I love Rev, and we've been friends for a good 7-8 months, so we still getting to know each other. And I do love the brother, man. I do love the brother. But if he wasn't a Rev, you know, I probably would have said some other things. But I got respect for him, man. So it's like that. It's all good.
It's all love. It's all love, and we'll talk about it after the show. Still try to get the rhythm.
I'm out, bro. I'm out.
It's all good, though. It's all good. But let me just ask you this as we get ready to go, because the time is running. How does it feel to be told or to know that you are the all-time leading scorer in Lincoln University history? Not too many people can say they are the all-time leading scorer playing at a particular college. When I finished, I was 4th all-time at Morehouse. So how does it feel to be the guy?
I just know I put in work. That's how I feel. Like you ain't gonna talk about Lincoln basketball without talking about Darrel Lewis. And my thing is in the Raptors, in the Hall of Fame up there. I just know that you ain't gonna talk about this school without talking about me, and that's how I carry it. You know what I mean? If I don't care who the youngest coming behind me, you ain't break my record. I don't care, you know, I'm showing respect to them, but I'm like, you're not going to talk about this school without talking about me. And that's how I carry it.
And last thing, well, I actually got 2 more quick things from what you said. Hold on for a second. It's going back to you saying you can't talk about Lincoln without talking about Darrel Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that make you feel like it was all worth it not to worry about D1? But when you go back, your legacy remains? Because I'm sure you know some guys that played D1 like I did, but they're not legends at their school. They were just on the team. So does that make you feel better that you made the decision that you did?
Again, earlier in the conversation, I told you Lincoln changed my life. Like the guy let me know I was supposed to be there. No matter what division it was, everything happened for me at Lincoln. It was like nothing went wrong. Everything, not just on the basketball court, it was academically too. Everything was happening for me. I was in my books, just focused because I knew I wanted to play this game at a professional level. And I'm ready to go to war now. I'm ready, I don't know. I'm not in the draft. I know that I'm coming from a Division III black school. I'm gonna have to work. And my road travel, man, like I don't regret nothing. The way I traveled to get there, it's more appreciative. You understand? It's more appreciative because it wasn't easy. I can't sit there and tell you, you know what, I went to this camp and they just picked me up. No, I got a lot of letdowns. I got a lot of letdowns in them camps. When I tore the camp up, they didn't know who I was walking in the door, but they knew who I was walking out the door. You understand? And I mean, I used to come in all these D1 players, and this guys I still remember from Kansas, Jeff Boschee and Nick Bradford and all. When they won the championship, I played against those guys.
Yeah.
Killing I'm like, yo, I'm watching you on TV and I'm at Lincoln. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I don't regret it. It, like you said, it helps me appreciate where I went and the road travel to get where I was going. So I like you said, I don't regret not going D1. I got my son, he's in D1 now, so it's kind of like he's carrying that torch now. So I appreciate that.
Ms. Grubb, finish us out.
So I know you got to go to work later on, Sharon. We appreciate you taking this time to do the interview, man. You spoke about Elijah, and I've been watching him, and I'm loving his game. But your other two children, Easton and Eaton, wanted to give you a shout out and tell you was doing a good job, Daddy.
Oh, thank you. I love my
good stuff, brother, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, CB, won't you give it up to Coatesville's own legend, Lincoln, all-time leading scorer, brother Darrel Lewis. Won't you send up some hearts, send up some likes? Thank you, brother Darrel, for joining us and indulging us on tonight.
Thank you.
We appreciate brother Darrel on us, indulging us on tonight. And that was some interesting banter between the two of us, but it's all good. And we'll press forward and move on as the hour is getting late. We know that we try to lift up you all's coach, who was also my deacon at the First Baptist Church of Passtown, as we talk about the Schoolgism for this week. And we want to pay homage to Deacon Scoogie Smith. For many of our persons that we've interviewed, they've always shown some love to Deacon Scoogie. And let me show his picture real quickly as we show this Schoolgism. He says, not being secure affects us as humans. It throws us off balance, and it puts us in disarray. You shared this with us on today. That was one of the Schoolgisms that you picked out. What does this mean to you, bro, Mr. Grubb?
It's ironic how things work, man. I mean, this is something that I picked that I thought this wasn't something that came directly from Skoog. So, I mean, I don't have many, like an endless thing of Skoogisms, just to put that out there. So what I do is I go by what I'm feeling that day or the day before and think, would Skoog give me this advice, or would he share this information with me? So not being secure affects us as humans. It throws us off balance. It puts us in disarray. And when I say it's ironic is because, not saying that you're insecure, Rev, or I'm insecure, but the folks that are watching us, they could say, Levi's insecure or Rev's insecure. And what did it do? It threw us off balance. And what did it do? It put us in disarray. But I'm going to sit here and tell everybody that's still listening, that this is what happens in life. You know, you disagree on things. But the key is, how are we going to come back from this? How are we going to make this better and learn from it? Just ironic about this Scoogism today.
I'm gonna take a different take, because one of the things that we've come to realize is this show is not like my other show. So I don't think even security has anything to do with what took place on today, or even somebody lists us as insecure. That having a debate on what said, who said what, doesn't really give an idea if someone's secure or not. I normally do a sports show on Saturday where the whole show is debating. So that's not our lane so much. So here we take pot shots, and then there's the debating element that comes from it in this particular show. Our bread and butter is interviews. So I think we've come to that conclusion. So I don't necessarily think about what took place today shows anything about security or insecurity. The reality is there's a lot of truth to whoever brought this forth that you thought Scoogie would share to you, because one of the things that affects many people on the personal level is insecurity. And therefore, oftentimes I can share in another way how it throws us off balance. We start thinking other people don't think highly of us because of our insecurities, when we start looking for persons to not think highly of us or to think they're talking about us if by chance we don't have self-security. So it's important, self-security as a human is important, so that you know how you feel about yourself, so that it does not allow other people's feelings or thoughts about you to throw an individual off balance. Insecurities of the individual throw them off balance. So I think it's very important for every person to be self-secure. As I share in church, I'm not concerned about what people say about me, what people feel about me, because at the end of the day, I got to be confident in who I am. If you're doing everything perfect or not perfect, someone's still going to have something to say about you, good, bad, or indifferent. So the bottom line is self-security is important so that you can keep yourself on balance and not allow other people's thoughts or theories or narratives about you get you off balance and put your own life in disarray. And when it comes to important, when we talk about team concepts, being secure, as you mentioned earlier, about how you knew your role. And even as we were engaging in banter, you said you knew your role. So you were secure in what you brought to the Coatesville team, no matter if you weren't the leading scorer, no matter if you were not one of the main persons who was, doing certain things from a scoring perspective. You were secure in yourself as Levi Worthington, who knew his role. So it didn't matter what I had to say. It didn't matter what anybody else had to say. You knew how you kept your own individual balance on that team. This is my role. This is what I'm going to do. And ain't nobody else can say anything, good, bad, or indifferent, to stop me from remembering what my role was on that team.
And for the record, I was the second leading scorer and the leading rebounder on that team my senior year. And I was the captain of that team the senior year. So
no, we're talking 2 different years now. So because when did Darrel graduate?
I was a year under him. He graduated.
So you're talking senior year. I'm talking about when Darrel was on the team. So that would have been your junior.
I was a 6-man coming off the bench.
But were you the second leading scorer your junior year?
I said my senior year.
So my point, see, you're not listening to me. I was talking about Darrel's year. And that's what we're talking about when you said you knew your role. That was dealing with Darrel's senior year, your junior year.
I knew my role every year I played.
All right, just say that then. See, never mind. Keep going. See, because you talked about your senior year. Well, I'm talking about your junior year when you knew your role.
Those you're playing semantics here. I mean,
no. There's a huge difference.
We're talking
junior year, you knew your role. Senior year, you were a better scorer. There's a huge difference. It's not semantics. You got to listen. That's all. See that? And sometimes
listen, but you're the one that's over talking. You keep saying listen, but you're the one.
You're not listening. But let's not waste any more.
I'm not going to win that battle.
No, you're not, because you're not listening. Because I was talking about junior. Sometimes you just got to leave some things alone and let it go. That's all.
You're right.
Sometimes you got to do that. But
Sometimes you got to stand your ground too, Rev.
no. Stand your ground on the facts, not feelings.
I did not tell no lies.
The facts were, you said you knew your role, and we were talking about, my commentary was on Darrel being your teammate. That was your junior year. You come back talking about your senior year, and that's not what I was talking about. So that's what I'm saying. That's the facts you got in your feelings. So I'm going to close it with this. All about sports.
Go ahead, close it, Rev. Go ahead,
with the touch of Christ. And I thank y'all for loving on us and watching us. It's good. No love lost. We're still going to be cool. It's all good. But with that being said, I want to just leave y'all with this, Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. It's a scripture from the Apostle Paul. And we like to just give you a little seed to allow marinate in your spirit. It says, let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. And the reality is, whatever you do, it takes hard work and sacrifice. When we listen to the interviews of Vince Belnome and Darrel Lewis, it was clear that they did not reap the rewards for their labor until some years on down the road. So they had to keep on doing good while they were playing Little League, while they were playing high school, while they were playing college. And because they did not grow weary in doing good through the sacrifices that they made in due season, which for Darrel meant playing professional overseas, due season for Vince, which meant going to the minor leagues and ultimately the major leagues, they were blessed. They reaped a harvest because not throwing in the towel. And therefore, I hope through the interviews that were shared on today, that you understand the importance of sacrifice, hard work. It may not happen for you next week, next month, next year, or even 5 years after that. But if you keep on keeping on, give your best foot forward at God's appointed time, you're going to reap a harvest for not giving up and not throwing in the towel. With that being said, we want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Seville Sports Mentality Show, show number 7. Again, we want to thank our interviewees, Vince Belnome, as well as Darrel Lewis, for blessing us with their presence. Next week, we look forward to the Zigglers, the baseball legacy of the Zigglers, being with us on next week as we interview them. Mr. Grubb, you got a last word?
God bless and good night.
God bless and good night. Peace and love, everybody. We're out of here. Tell somebody about the Seville Sports Mentality Show. And trust me and Mr. Grubb still love each other and like each other. Peace.